Ислама, если Илья и Гэджи сразятся в главном событии, ты бы согласился бы со главным поучаствовать?
Ну, так не принципиально для меня драться со главным или в главном. В начале карьеры я дрался в первом поединке турнира. Так что это не такой принципиальный вопрос для меня. Думаю, в Белом доме точно не будет, потому что у него уже есть соперники. UFC в этом бою пока не заинтересован. У меня уже есть так потенциальные соперники. 3-4 человека в моем дивизионе в 77 килограмм, которые уже, можно сказать, заслужили драться за пояс. Так что я думаю, ближайший, 2026 год маловероятно.
The Ultimate Fighting Championship has once again sent shockwaves through the MMA world. Fans were already building anticipation for a historic White House card, imagining the biggest names stepping onto a stage unlike anything the sport has ever seen. But that excitement took a hit when Islam Makhachev made it clear that a super fight with Ilia Topuria is not happening there. According to Islam, the UFC simply isn't interested in booking that matchup right now, and Topuria already appears to have another opponent in place.
Somebody wants, let's do it. I tell them I will be ready soon. If White House, of course I want to be in White House because it's the maybe one and only we will make the fighting in White House. I want to be in history. Now I'm already make good money, which one enough for my family, you know. And now I have everything before it's also not coming in my dream, you know. Now I just ready, you know. I training every day, still hungry, still fighting, still want to be champion.
Fans, that felt like a missed opportunity. Islam had already spoken publicly about wanting to compete on that card. He described it as a rare moment in MMA history, the kind of event that could define a legacy. He made it clear he expects to be booked soon and sees the White House card as more than just another fight night. To him, it represents history, a platform where greatness isn't just displayed, but permanently stamped into the sport's timeline. That's why the possibility of him versus Topuria generated so much hype. Two dominant forces of this generation. Two fighters operating at championship level across divisions. And now, for the moment, that dream is paused.
Put an event on at the White House and not have the fight card just blow everything else to smithereens, right? This thing has to deliver, and it absolutely will. And they're going to put together the most incredible night of fights that us fight fans, UFC fans, could ever imagine, right? And there's no bigger fight right now, in my humble opinion, than Islam Makhachev versus Ilia.
Middleweight champion Michael Bisping was one of the loudest voices supporting that matchup. In his eyes, a White House card demands something extraordinary. He questioned whether MMA has ever truly seen two reigning two-division champions collide at their absolute peak. For Bisping, that fight alone would justify the magnitude of the event. A spectacle that would draw attention from legends, contenders, media, and fans worldwide. It wasn't just about belts. It was about capturing a once-in-a-generation moment.
Have we ever seen two weight division champions going up against one another in their absolute primes? I don't think we have, whether it's in their prime or old damaged goods. I don't think we've ever seen two weight division champions going up against each other. It's never happened. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comment section. But I really don't think that's ever happened. So this would truly be a one-of-a-kind, at a one-of-a-kind event, at the most desired fight night in the history of the sport. Every man and their dog, every fighter, whether they're retired, whether on the fringe of retirement, whether they're recently retired, or whether they're at the top of the sport.
Well, Islam isn't standing still. Looking ahead to the welterweight division, he appears calm and confident. At 170 pounds, he sees opportunity rather than obstacles. He has stated clearly that he's ready for whoever the UFC puts in front of him. More importantly, he does not view this move as temporary. He isn't chasing a quick appearance. He intends to defend the belt, build a real run, and solidify himself as a long-term force in another division. That mindset signals ambition beyond a single super fight.
Вариантов много, если честно, на мой вес сейчас как-то ожил welterweight. Я думаю, сейчас вариантов очень много. Посмотрим, я вообще, мне без разницы. И все должны предложить скоро. Я сказал, если им бы не было без разницы, потому что я чувствую, что я смогу долго в этом весе себя пояс сохранить, если себя там комфортно чувствуешь.
Also been rumors of a potential clash with Ian Machado Gary. However, Islam quickly shut down the idea that negotiations were happening. He revealed he only heard about that matchup through media reports and confirmed that there have been no official talks with the UFC regarding Gary. For now, the White House event remains the most realistic timeline for his return. He even expressed willingness to serve as co-main event if necessary, showing that the stage itself matters as much as the placement on the card. But one thing he emphasized clearly, Ilia Topuria is not happening on that event.
Кстати, вот если говорить про будущее, Ислам, сейчас практически все уже западные СМИ пишут информацию о том, что твоим следующим соперником станет Иэн Мачадо Гэри. Можешь подтвердить как-то это? То есть насколько от UFC уже была такая информация?
У меня, честно, вот только то, что в медиа я сам прочел, а так даже никаких конкретных переговоров насчет именно этого соперника у меня не было.
Вообще понимание по Белому дому появилось, ты говорил, что хочешь там выступить. И вроде как UFC везде стал давать информацию, что карт уже готов.
Я не думаю, что карт еще готов. Но еще у нас обсуждается примерная дата моего боя. Если даже не будет в Белом доме, то это около этой даты. И не исключаю вариант Белого дома. Но на сегодняшний день это самый вероятный вариант.
Ислам, а если Илья и Гэджи сразятся в главном событии, ты бы согласился бы со-главным поучаствовать?
Ну, так не принципиально для меня драться со-главным или в главном. В начале карьеры я дрался в первом поединке турнира. Так что это не такой принципиальный вопрос для меня.
Side, Ian Machado Gary has reportedly been in Georgia sharpening his wrestling, seemingly preparing for a potential showdown with Makhachev. Islam responded without hesitation. In his view, wrestling at the elite level cannot be mastered in 2 or 3 months. Training camps can sharpen tools, but they cannot rewrite a lifetime of grappling experience. Islam believes that while Gary may bring creativity and range on the feet, the ground would tell a different story. Looking at the matchup see similar dynamics. On the feet, Gary's length and unpredictability could create dangerous moments. One clean strike, one perfectly timed kick can shift momentum instantly in MMA. But when it comes to grappling exchanges, most believe Makhachev would hold a clear advantage. Gary might survive extended ground sequences, but controlling Islam or consistently winning scrambles is another challenge entirely. Add to that Islam's ability to adjust mid-fight. He has shown time and again that he doesn't enter with a rigid blueprint. If striking works, he strikes. If grappling is needed, he wrestles. That adaptability makes preparing. The broader conversation around combat sports also resurfaced, particularly the ongoing boxing versus MMA debate. Critics of MMA often argue that boxing is superior, pointing to crossover bouts like Floyd Mayweather Jr. versus Conor McGregor, where the specialist boxer prevailed. Supporters of MMA counter by noting that fighters train across multiple disciplines, splitting time between wrestling, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, and boxing, while pure boxers dedicate their lives to one craft. Comparisons like Oleksandr Usyk potentially outboxing John Jones highlight how rule sets shape outcomes. It's less about which sport is superior and more about specialization versus versatility.
Гэри зачем-то в Грузию полетел, но он, может, не очень разбирается, что это не одно и то же полететь в Грузию или полететь в Дагестан. Как бы, я не знаю, может, он тебя искать полетел. А как ты думаешь, зачем он вообще туда полетел?
Ну, я уже как-то говорил, что это является ошибкой для бойцов ездить на какие-то сборы за 2-3 месяца до боя, чтобы потянуть борьбу. Это, наоборот, играет злую такую ошибку, потому что человек едет на 2-3 месяца куда-то подготовиться и начинает верить в свою борьбу, и вот это потом не срабатывает. За 2-3 месяца невозможно научиться бороться. Это то, что ты должен делать с самого детства многие-многие годы.
Если сравнивать вот Мадалену и Гэри именно по уровню ММА, вот кого бы ты поставил выше все?
Ну, они оба ударника, я поставил Мадалену выше.
His manager, Ali Abdelaziz, added another layer by suggesting that if fans truly want a compelling fight, Islam versus Kamaru Usman makes more sense than Ian Gary. According to Ali, both Islam and Usman are interested, though the UFC may have alternative plans. His comments reflect uncertainty behind the scenes. Even when fighters express mutual interest, promotional strategy ultimately determines what materializes.
He does well with Islam on the stand-up because he's rangy, he's tricky, all those. But on the ground, he doesn't. He does okay, but he doesn't survive on the ground. I don't think. I mean, well, okay, he might survive 5 rounds, but he won't get the best of Islam on the ground. That I'm 100% sure about that. On the stand-up, he's pretty tricky. So one punch can change everything on that. One kick, one punch, one knee. You know, so that's a different story. But on the ground, I don't see him dominating. I see him surviving, possibly. So yeah, I could see that. And then the takedown defense that he has is decent, but not great enough to stop Islam from taking him down. But again, you know, sometimes we'll go in there and we'll decide that we're gonna do this with Islam, and next thing you know, next round we'll say, okay, take him down now, or next thing you know, next round we'll go stand up, because he's that good. So we're not looking at going in any specific game plan for anybody because he's good every.
Welterweight picture, the middleweight division is heating up. Anthony Hernandez has openly called out Khamzat Chimaev, signaling confidence that he can handle Chimaev's aggressive style. Hernandez believes Chimaev leans heavily on one dominant strength, while he brings a more rounded and adaptable skill set. For him, that potential fight represents an opportunity to prove he belongs among the elite and to position himself as a future champion.
It's not better than MMA. Well, send the MMA guy into a boxing ring and let's prove it. And that's the boxer's big argument as to why boxing's better. Because we often see MMA fighters, because they're paid less, go into boxing and get beaten by a guy who's been boxing his whole life, when an MMA fighter hasn't. An MMA fighter's been training grappling and jiu-jitsu and, you know, Muay Thai and all of this other stuff in amongst boxing as well. They're obviously going to lose to the boxer at the top level. We saw this with Mayweather versus McGregor. That being said, Usyk would dust up John Jones in boxing. Jones can't fucking box. He don't have a jab. He don't have punch power in his hands, even with 4-ounce gloves. So I think Usyk would dust up John Jones. Topuria wouldn't beat the guys at his size. He would have a chance. He would have more of a chance, though.
Underscores one reality. The White House card isn't just another event, it's reshaping conversations across multiple divisions. Super fights are being discussed, narratives are shifting. Fighters are positioning themselves strategically. Even when certain matchups fall apart, the ripple effects remain. For now, Islam versus Ilia may not be happening there. But the divisions are in motion, ambitions are high, and the next announcement could once again change